So much for joining us right here on Morning Cafe. So good to see you. Happy to know that unatuchagua kila siku.
Yes, indeed, this is the Morning Cafe where we wake you up the best way we know how. My name is Freddy Ndimuli. Karibu sana.
All right, let's start with the local dailies. Tunaanza hapa na Taifa Leo. Sifuna na Babu wakwepa Ruto. That is Taifa Leo.
Aha.
People Daily.
Why retirees are staring at early graves. That's the People Daily.
Daily Nation, civil servants reject Shah deal.
On the Star, huge rip-off, fake mileage cash scandal shake up MPs.
Business, that is RBA to block Retirement Benefits Authority to block under 50s from pension savings.
And of course, the Standard continues with its two-word headlines. A magnificent duo this time. A positive headline.
Yeah.
At least in a very long time.
Yes.
Those are the local dailies.
All right, let's take a look at the regional dailies. Before that...
Yes, for State of the Nation today, starting at 6:30, we'll be having these three members of the National Assembly with us in studio. James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, Daniel Manduku, MP Nyaribari Masaba, and John Kanyuithia Mutunga, MP Tigania West. So do stand by for that, starting at 6:30.
All right. Later on, we'll be talking matters, careers, building a career abroad with Justice. This is the U.S. Nursing Journey Support Manager at the Kenyan Nurse Consultants Limited. Later on. Across our borders, we start off in Uganda. The new vision, they say hairdressers, builders must have permits and 6 million shillings fine for artisans who operate without licenses.
Okay, 6 million Ugandan money. But the way, it's a very interesting headline.
Yeah.
That hairdressers na watu wa mjengo, hapo wameitwa builders, lakini watu wa mjengo lazima ukuwe na license. Sasa tunaamka tu unaenda kwa mjengo. You have to have a permit.
Yeah.
Na ukipatikana unasuka watu nywele na hauna permit.
6 million.
6 million shillings. Ama jela straight.
Si tuko na permits kweli.
You don't do that. But
hairdressers?
just think if we were actually to do this.
Yeah.
And watu wa KRA wanatembea wanaingia kinyozi, wanaingia anaambiwa kinyozi na wengi si wa Kenya, wengi they're coming from Burundi and Rwanda.
And Congo. All right.
Remember, the fine is about 200 Kenya shillings, 200,000 Kenya shillings, which is huge.
That's huge.
So you'd rather just get the permit.
There's a forest here in trouble, and they're asking who is behind Mabira forest destruction. This is forest and security officials confronting some of the suspected illegal loggers who had cut down tree in Mabira forest for timber. That is in Uganda. On the top strip, 8,400 jobs in police prisons. Here we see Mubaje dragged to court over new term bid. Teens self-diagnosing on TikTok.
That's an interesting one.
Yes. On the teen vision.
Wanakutana TikTok wanaambiana wewe symptoms zako? Basi. Unajua magoti inakuuma.
Wanaulizana umepima HIV. All right. One woman's effort at justice for LRA victims and Kawempe contestants in last-minute vote hunt. That story is on page 6 and 7 of the New Vision.
Still in Uganda, we take a look at the Daily Monitor. They talk of this priest who killed a URA official over lover. A priest, underline priest. So, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions in Uganda has told Entebbe Chief Magistrate's Court that a Catholic priest, who is supposed to be celibate, who is accused of stabbing dead a Uganda Revenue Authority official, what were the equivalent of KRA wanaharibu huko, bought a knife from a supermarket in Kireka, Wakiso district, which he used to commit the crime. Watu wa tax collectors wanakuwa na pesa. Na sasa wananyemelea.
It makes sense.
Lakini huyu pia ni priest.
Pope ni mgonjwa. Now what will happen?
Wow, interesting. Failure to provide food could land family heads in jail is another headline there. Pale juu, wanasema household heads, if at all they fail to provide food security for their families, they could be taken to jail for about a year. That's in Uganda.
Yeah.
They should try that in Kenya as well. Watu watashiba, wanaogopa jela sana. Unalisha familia wanakuwa sawa sawa. All right, that's a Daily Monitor in Uganda.
All right. We cross over to Tanzania. We start off with the Citizen. Why many bus firms now opt for night operations. And bus operators in Tanzania are increasingly focusing on night operations as they seek to capitalize on the economic advantages of operating overnight services. 1,950 is the number of buses registered since 24-hour operations were reintroduced. 47% daytime departures and 53% night departures.
Even when you look at the pictures there of the buses they use, hey, they're way ahead.
Yeah.
I wish we could have such buses in Kenya.
We do.
In Tanzania.
Zile zinaenda Mombasa, the Watermid, bus car.
They tell you they have one that looks like this, but then the rest, tachoka.
All right, they say here passenger volumes are higher at night than during the day, and they operate night services on their long routes connecting Dar es Salaam with Mwanza, Mbeya, and Arusha due to high demand. Same case. I think we do the same with, it's the same with Kenya. Wale watu wanaenda Kisumu, Western, wanapenda sana kutravel usiku. Most night travelers are workers, business people, and those with urgent matters. Night travel allows them to maximize daytime hours for both work and business. That is in Tanzania. Government defense plan to buy electricity from Ethiopia, according to Energy Permanent Secretary Shesmi Mramba. The decision will benefit the country by reducing electricity costs, since some local sources generate power at higher prices than the tariff agreed upon with Ethiopia.
Now you'll realize that this is perhaps the biggest talking point in across all the major newspapers in Tanzania this morning. They intend to import electricity from Ethiopia, but now if they do that, they'll have to pass through Kenya. Yeah. Hapo hakuna kuhepa.
All right.
Wale tulikuwa sema jirani hana stima. Sasa itabidi tuambie wakikosana sisi tunawazimia stima.
Gazeti la Mwananchi.
Iko pale pia, siri nyuma ya ununuzi umeme kutoka Ethiopia, ni habari ambayo imepewa kipaumbele kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili la Mwananchi, lakini pale chini habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa sita. Lakini habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Mwananchi ni hii: watoto wa Sarungi wamzika kinamna. Wengi wao hawakufika, ni Maria na ndugu zake waliopo nje ya nchi. Yeye asema sababu za kiusalama zimemkwamisha. Lissu, Jaji Warioba, Zito wamweleza kiundani Profesa Sarungi. Alama zake Moi, klabu ya Simba za kumbukwa, wadau wa shauri. Ni ule jamaa ambaye alifariki wiki jana, alizikwa jana. Zinavyobeba kubomoa soka, siri ya Simba na Yanga, masuala ya spoti. Najua hata Kenya tupatangi Gor Mahia na FC kwa kurasa wa mbele, lakini kule Yanga na Simba lazima. Habari kamili kutoka Tanzania.
All right. Gazeti hii ni Uhuru. Bado Tanzania. Tanzania ina umeme mwingi. Fred, sijui utaweka pikicho. Umesema jirani hana stima. Ni kauli ya katibu mkuu wa Wizara ya Nishati, yasema pia inaweza kuuza nje. Ataja sababu za kununua wa Ethiopia kwa matumizi ya kanda kaskazini.
Hawana umeme mwingi. Wananunua kutoka Ethiopia. Hiyo gazeti ya Uhuru, gazeti la 3 tumeona habari hii. Bado tukisalia kule Jamhuri, wazungumzii masuala ya nishati.
Wizi wa mafuta.
Ni wizi wa mafuta, lakini masuala ya nishati bado, lakini sio umeme.
All right. Gazeti la Jamhuri, gazeti ya ama gazeti la Jamhuri hiyo. Daily News. Why power deal matters still in Tanzania.
So that's the biggest discussion today. Anatafuta stima jirani.
Zanzibari kule pia Mama Mariam aseme kipaumbele cha serikali kuwapatia elimu watoto. Papa Francis aonesha matumaini ya kupata nafuu. Habari katika ukurasa wa 9 wa gazeti hili. The New Times.
This is in Rwanda. Rwanda moves to regulate virtual assets with new draft law. And a picture there of what's happening in the DRC. So when you go to Rwanda, this is a big discussion. Global coalition urges UN to act on Congolese Tutsi extermination threat. Now, this is a very scary headline when they start talking about extermination and exterminating entire communities. But that's the stories in Rwanda, which I think wraps up our regional look
It
at
does.
the papers today.
All right, let's take a look at the weather situation. Tuangalie kama bado kunanyesha ama we can expect jua kidogo leo. We start off in...
We can start here because you can see the clouds have moved. Yesterday, the cloud cover was areas northern Kenya around Turkana and areas around the central part of Kenya, Nairobi, southern part, western part of the country. But you can see that has moved towards areas like Kitui and towards the northeastern part. Wajir has some cloud cover today. Whether or not it will result in rainfall, we will see. But areas like Kitui will definitely have rainfall. You can see how thick the clouds are.
Yeah. Let's cross over to Wajir. Tuangalie kukoaje huko. It's 26 degrees as at now. It feels like 28. Slight warming expected over the next 3 days. It's cloudy. Highs of 33 degrees expected today. Very little showers here. Precipitation 0 sasa hiyo will not be felt. Cloud cover throughout the day. Very, very little sunshine kuanzia saa 7.
All right. Let's take a look at Kitui because we've seen there's quite some cloud cover there. It's 20 degrees Celsius as we speak. Promises to be a very cloudy day. Definitely rainfall, especially in the afternoon towards late evening. Highs of 27 degrees. The amount of rainfall in that area, 3.8 millimeters of rain. So yes, definitely zimekubaliana hizo habari.
All right. In Kakamega, it's 15 degrees. It feels like it. Partly cloudy throughout the day. Highs of 27 degrees expected today. No chances of rain in Kakamega today.
But Thursday watapata mvua nao.
Thursday watapata. Hapa wanasema precipitation 1.5 millimeters will hardly be felt.
Lakini Thursday,
Yeah.
kutakuwa na mvua.
Thunderstorms.
Yes.
In Nairobi,
Finally, Nairobi, 18 degrees Celsius. Cloudy as well. Promises to be a cloudy morning, but once you get to noontime, could be some showers. Not much rainfall expected today, but late evening, probably around 6 p.m. We could get some more rainfall. It promises to continue like this tomorrow and Thursday, and then probably take a break and have a very sunny Friday. Highs of 24 degrees, meaning it's comfortable weather for the city dwellers as well. In as far as precipitation is concerned, 3.8 millimeters of rainfall. Not as bad. Yesterday it was 19.6 millimeters.
Yeah.
So ile mvua ilinyesha jana, at least hakuna vumbi.
Yeah.
But inaenda ikipungua. So that's the weather situation today.
all right, 10 minutes past the top of the hour. Let's take a look at the traffic situation. In Nairobi, that is. Here we go.
Right. So the major tributaries from afar look good, green all the way. Yesterday, I think a lot of traffic came because of the rain. Mvua ilitokea tu ghafla bin vu, watu wakastuka. But today you can see everything is looking good apart from this area here. And this is Ruaraka. Just before you get to the Allsops area, there's a long stretch of red there. Matatus usually take advantage of that to carry passengers, but it could end up blocking some traffic towards town. After that, it's smooth all the way. Even Pangani interchange has not started building up as it usually does. So it's the best time for people from Kiambu Road and Thika Road to get to town. In the eastern part of the city, of course, Kangundo Road is usually very busy at this time. You can see both sides of the road. Once you get closer to Outer Ring Road, quite busy, especially with Matatus trying to get passengers. Even if you go as far back as Kayole, areas around Komarok, that stretch is very busy. Yes, further pipeline. You can see that stretch of red hapa. Once you leave the bypass, it's red all the way from further all the way. Paka karibu afike pale pipeline railway stop. So hapa kuna shida. If you can avoid that area, the better for you. Probably use Mombasa Road to town. Mombasa Road is looking good. With the expressway, hata pale chini, not bad. Southern bypass, not bad. It's green all the way. I can see even Ngong Road. Langata Road and Ngong Road looking good. Basically, the western part of the city is not bad at all. Even Wayaki Way all the way into town is green. So shida probably in Eastlands, kama kawaida. Jogoo Road, not so bad. Nothing out of the ordinary. Areas around Makadara and Botella.
All right, that's the traffic situation. Let's take a look at the quote of the day. The past holds no power over your future. It's always possible to begin again, to take a new path, and to reinvent yourself as the person you wish to become. All right, let's take a look at the local dailies once again, and we start off with the Daily Nation. Civil servants reject SHA deal. Workers enjoyed comprehensive medical cover under the now defunct NHIF. And work boycott civil servants have warned of a strike beginning March 18 if the government fails to address their grievances on the new medical scheme run by the Social Health Authority SHA, saying they are being forced to fundraise to meet their medical needs because the state-run scheme is not working. This story is on page 4 and 5. Na SHA imepigwa vita sana.
SHA imekataa. Nafikiri wameisukuma imekataa.
Imekataa kabisa. And you know they're saying it's not optional, it's a must.
It is mandatory.
Sasa walimu, sidhani mko na choice. Anyway, KMPDU is quoted here saying we're giving the government 2 weeks to resolve this issue once and for all. Failure to do so, we will call on all civil servants in both national and county governments to join a series of demonstrations starting March 18. Other stories there, Unity tests, Raila men skip Ruto tour of Nairobi, and the Daily Nation is so busy today.
It's so busy.
3 ODM lawmakers from Nairobi skipped.
It looks like a Tanzanian newspaper.
Daily Monitor.
Daily Monitor is actually one of the neatest. Yes. Daily Monitor is one of the tidiest front pages in the region. But Tanzanian papers, you can actually find the whole newspaper on the front page.
All right. They say three ODM lawmakers from Nairobi skipped the first leg of the president's extensive tour of the capital yesterday, pointing to a possible political defiance against the cooperation deal. That is Senator Edwin Sifuna, Embakasi East MP Babu Owino, and Westlands MP Timothy Wanyonyi were conspicuously absent in Kamukunji constituency, where Dr. Ruto began his day's activities.
That's 3 days after signing the MOU, and the Senate of Nairobi was not present for the president's tour.
Yeah.
Yet kuna working relationship, MOU.
But kuna other days na atakuwa. 3 days or 5 days?
Unamtetea.
All right. Alcohol, drugs, and friendly fire. Questions continue to mount on why officers are armed with service-issue weapons when off-duty and drinking in bars. National Police Service standing orders require that all officers must return their guns to the armory when not on duty. Shooting incidents have also raised questions on the mental health of officers serving in crucial areas, including guarding VIPs. This story is on page 10. National news, teachers dismissal by TSC for flirting with girl on Instagram upheld. Interesting. Sini watu wakubwa. On the back page of the Daily Nation, how financial deprivation neglect brought down took. And this is, I'm an alumni of this university, by the way. University owes billions in statutory deductions and payments to third parties. Counties bid to join case on scholarship scam flops, and lawyer wants Office of Data Commissioner disbanded. That's the Daily Nation.
All right. Take a look at the People Daily. They talk about why retirees are staring at early graves, matters social protection. It's an interesting story. I think it's also on the front page of the Business Daily. The fact that many people have access to their retirement pensions way earlier. And then by the time wanafika retirement, pesa zishapungua. But that's a story on page 4 of the People Daily. Heavy rains expose Sakaja City's poor drainage system. This is a story that's always there. Every time it rains, mvua tu moja.
Yeah.
One day, 19.6 millimeters, and we are drowning in Nairobi.
We should have learned from last year, though.
We never learn. You know, the governor Sakaja had even proposed that we buy boats. We should buy boats. I don't know if they were ever bought. Just wait for the rains. Lakini mvua ya siku moja, sure.
Swim.
ESCC in the dock of a snail-pace investigations. Nothing new there, tushazoea. Ruto defense pact with Raila father as he tours the city. This is one of the biggest stories. Yesterday, the president was in Kamukunji, na senator kama tumeona, senator alikuwa busy elsewhere. How State House call saved Kuria King's house. This is an interesting story on page 8 of the People Daily. Talk about Moses Kuria's brother, who lives around somewhere close here. And auctioneers showed up at his gate, came out with a gun. Then they received a call from State House. Yet they had a court order, but they couldn't access the home.
Interesting.
Sema kuna wakubwa na wakubwa zaidi.
Right. Business Daily. Retirement Benefits Authority to block under 50s from pension savings. Same story here to Monapo People Daily. Proposed changes could be implemented beginning July. A regulator is worried about rising old age poverty. And the RBA is pushing to stop workers from accessing their pension savings before attaining the age of 50 through proposed changes that are aimed at helping contributors build a decent retirement nest egg. And the regulator, in a fresh budget proposals that are under public review, wants the Treasury to delete part of the law allowing workers under 50 to access half of their pension benefits when they change jobs. This law has eroded retirement savings, warns the regulator, leaving retirees with inadequate savings upon retirement. Interestingly, official data shows more than 80% of senior citizens work for basic items, raising questions about the adequacy of pension payouts and coverage of retirement benefits. This is a very interesting story. I could go on and on, but it's on page 2 of the Business Daily. Taxes from beer, fuel, car, cosmetic sales flat in half year, and tax receipts from the importation of sale of alcohol drinks, fuel, cigarettes, cosmetics and cars have remained largely flat in the first half of the current financial year amid complaints of shrinking payslips and thriving illicit trade. On the ticker, 524 million shillings spent on Raila's failed AUC bid. Kenya spent 523.85 million shillings on Raila Odinga's failed bid for the chairmanship of the African Union Commission. Fresh data submitted to Parliament shows.
Well, someone had claimed that it was 10 billion. So it's half a billion shillings.
Yeah.
9.5 billion shillings less. But this is according to what has been presented to Parliament.
Yeah.
Let's just believe it. Ama?
Let's just believe it.
Okay.
Mtu aliuliza, will you believe human rights or me? Akaambiwa, yes, human rights. So let's believe Parliament.
Tuwe na imani.
Kenya Power pays 2.58 billion shillings debt to US geothermal farm. Treasury CBK emergency loan charges dip 17%. And that's the Business Daily.
Sifuna na Babu wa kwepa Ruto. Ni habari kamili, habari kuu pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. Seneta Edwin Sifuna na wabunge Babu Owino na timu Wanyonyi waingia vichakani, waingia mitini. Rais akivumisha ndoa mpya kati ya ODM na UDA jijini. Unajua hata Babu Owino anaweza kosa, lakini seneta wa Nairobi anasimamia jiji nzima. Alikuwa wapi? Sifuna na Babu wamekuwa wakosoaji wakuu wa serikali ya Kenya Kwanza licha ya usuhuba wa Raila na Ruto. Je, kutendaje? Na kuna picha pale wanaonyesha Rais William Ruto akiwa kwenye ziara yake ya jiji la Nairobi. Lakini pia ananukuliwa hapa seneta wa Nairobi akisema sikuhudhuria hafla ya rais jijini Nairobi kwa sababu nilikuwa na kikao muhimu katika bunge la Senate. Sema alikuwa na kazi.
Yes.
More important matters. Hiyo haikuwa muhimu sana. Nakwambia 3 days after the MOU was signed. Vidokezo zaidi kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa saa bodaboda watafutiwa kazi majuu. Serikali kupitia wizara ya ahidi kutafutia kazi bodaboda watakaopata leseni na kujisajili. Kwingineko, muhimu wa kufuturishana katika mfungo. Kumbuka bado tuko kwenye mwezi mkuu wa Ramadhani. Kwa mada hii na saha zingine za saumu ujipatie nakala ya Taifa Leo, watakupea mambo zaidi. Na pale chini wasema Salasi anaichesa wapapurana. Salasi ya siku hizi yako kila mahali. Anajua kupapurana. Serikali ya Canada ila Gachagua eti Bomas of Kenya imeuzwa. Sisitiza ukumbi huo unafanyiwa tu karabati. Gazeti la Taifa Leo.
All right. The Standard, magnificent duo. Leo, today they're praising someone at least. And not only one, two.
You remember there was a almost similar headline sometime last week or 2 weeks ago. It was reckless duo with two people standing on each side, either side of the front page. So this time it's magnificent.
Magnificent duo. Let's see. Integrity first. At a time when independent institutions are weakened and Parliament appears increasingly aligned with the executive, Auditor General Nancy Gathungu and Controller of Budget Margaret Nyakango have remained unwavering public watchdogs, championing accountability in the use of public resources. Now, despite intense scrutiny and accusations of corruption from MPs, they remain steadfast in their commitment to serving the country. We have leaders here praising na kukashifu at the same time. Senator Richard Onyonka is quoted here saying, "These two women are my heroes. They are the last line of defense in this country. If you look at the issues they are raising, no man can deal with them." Kimani Ichung'wah, the National Assembly Majority Leader, is quoted saying, "The officer of the Controller of Budget needs to style up. County governments are suffering. Speak to any governor. They will tell you they have to bribe officers in that office to get the expenditures approved."
Ironically, you find that it's members of the National Assembly appearing to defend devolution and governors here on the front page. Yet senators, Sifuna and Onyonka, who ideally should be doing that job, are praising these two women. So mbona huyu leader wa majority na minority National Assembly ndo anaona counties zinaumia sana. Counties wanaumiza county sana.
Now, it's upon them now to do whatever they need to do. Nancy na Nyakango have done their job. On the top strip, Kisii leaders divided over Raila heckling. Onyonka apparently was being blamed for that, and Alsema that had nothing to do with me. High flying Liverpool sound, a war cry. That story is on Sports page 40. In Sports page 40 of this newspaper, The Standard, and that's The Standard.
All right. And finally, The Star. Fresh, independent, different, a totally different kind of headline. Huge rip-off when they talk about on legislators, a fake mileage, cash scandal, shake up MPs. So the salary of a member of parliament is a gross salary, 725,000. Committee sittings, allowances could earn him about 120,000, but mileage allowance, 1.2 million shillings. More than their salary.
No, my son.
Alafu mwishowe anaenda nyumbani na 2.417 million shillings. Hey, I want to be an MP. Hey.
That is net.
Hey, so it is on pages 4 and 5. We'll be having some of those MPs in studio this morning. Watatuambia bwana. Hii mileage inaenda wapi? Robbing taxpayers, fake mileage driving citizens up the wall. Stories on page 4 and 5 of this paper. Other quick highlights there. They talk about trying rabbit therapy as natural way of healing, and they say it's not just about the meat. They give you emotional support.
Oh,
the front page,
rabbit.
Rabbits.
Okay.
And web of deceit haunts county payroll systems. Yes, I mentioned the Auditor General there, Nancy Gathungu, who has exposed what could be wanton theft of public money in payroll fraud in the counties. Alafu leader of majority na minority wako hapa wanasema hawafanyi kazi mzuri, wanafinya county sana. Finya kabisa, ukiulizwa hapa tunasema finya kabisa.
All right.
So this paper, being a Tuesday, is not for sale. You can get a free copy of it, and it comes with a complimentary MyGov pullout for government tenders and job opportunities. See MyGov pullout. The Star, fresh, independent,
difference. Tuangalie masala ya caricature, and this is the Daily Nation. There's a wheel here, hii ni gari, imeandikwa Jubilee. The wheels are off.
Yes.
One part it's off, the other part tunaona a caricature there of former President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Sasa hii tujui tumuite aje? Walisema kweli?
Sasa ni co-partner.
Co-president.
Co-collaborator. Collaboration.
The Standard said last week, co-president.
I think it's more interesting how they've represented the Kenya Kwanza government. It's a KK, but it's a wheelbarrow there, but kuna loot kubwa sana hapa imejaa. What exactly is the cartoonist trying to tell us? But the single common thing here across this is whenever these parties have a problem, wakishindwa kuna mtu mmoja huwa anakuja kuwasaidia. Unajua ukienda Marikiti, ununue mizigo upate kuna mizigo mingi. kuna mtu anaitwa Beba anakuja kukubebea na kufikishia. Huyu jamaa amekuwa beba, anasaidia Jubilee, anasaidia Kenya Kwanza, mizigo ikizidi anabeba. That's a cartoon on the Daily Nation.
All right. People Daily, Matters Education here. We see students here wanasema mathematically the funds are moving at a speed of 0 kilometers per year. Wanaongelea capitation. No capitation to schools.
Yes, there's complaints about the amount. It never grows. Na bado haifiki hata shuleni.
All right.
Just go next. Yes,
okay.
we have the one on the Star. Talk about this cat with proverbial 9 lives. Yes, a caricature of the former Prime Minister. Here is represented as a cat and, who has 9 lives. He survives through administrations, regimes that he has opposed and always emerges as their savior. Raila Odinga, that's a Star. And finally on the Standard.
Just handshaked again. A caricature here of the president and a former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And tunaona pale Mwananchi.
Mwananchi amekuwa represented kama mama na watoto wake wawili, lakini mzee ashapata shughuli nyingine huko kando. Alafu you know ile sign ya just married mekiwa just handshake.
Anaingia kwa gari. All right. Tumemaliza sasa uchambuzi wa magazeti and the state of the nation, Fred.
Yes, today we're going to be having John Kanyuithia Mutunga, MP Tigania West, Daniel Manduku, MP Nyaribari Masaba, and James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, who are with us this morning for a discussion on the big highlights, the big headlines today. And you should stick with us because this conversation will be starting in a few minutes. Good morning, gentlemen. Karibuni sana. Yes. So, and take us to a break.
All right. Meanwhile, interact with us on our social media platforms, TV47KE on X, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and YouTube. My handle is at Anna_Dide. Fred?
Fred in the morning.
Stay with us.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create.
Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up.
When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, body garage
don't allow anyone to pluck.
All right, welcome back and good morning once again. This is the Morning Cafe on TV47. My name is Fred Indemuli. State of the nation, time for us to take a look at the big headlines. On the front page of the Standard, and the Standard has built a reputation of having very striking, very descriptive headlines describing individuals, news sources, and today they talk about the magnificent duo, and this is Auditor General Nancy Gathungu and Controller of Budget Margaret Nyakango. And indeed, they've been quite consequential. You find them on all the front pages of papers today. Even the story that we're just about to talk about, there's a mention of the Auditor General. But just before that, civil servants reject Shah deal. That's on the front page of the Daily Nation. And on the Star, huge rip-off, fake mileage cash scandal shake up MPs. All lawmakers do is fill transport form and they end up with millions of shillings. I do have 3 legislators with me this morning, starting on my immediate right. Daniel Manduku, MP Nyaribari Masaba. Good morning, karibu sana.
Thank you.
John Kanyuithia Mutunga joins us after a very long time, MP Tigania West. It's good to have you back in studio. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Jimuli. Good morning.
And Bona James Gakuya, familiar face on this panel, MP Embakasi North. Karibu sana.
Sana, Ilimuri.
We start off with this because it would appear that you end up with a lot of money at the end of every month, and all you need to do is to fill a transport form. Let me just read a story on page 4 and 5. MPs could be pocketing millions of shillings in fictitious mileage allowances as a Parliamentary Service Commission has given them a blank check to claim the lucrative perks without evidence of travel. There's a new report revealing the leadership of the bicameral parliament, that's the Senate and the National Assembly, is paying out millions to facilitate MPs' travel to constituencies. The revelations could put the PSC chaired by Moses Wetangula in the spotlight, coming at a time that Kenyans are struggling with tough financial times. This is not the first time we've heard about fake mileage claims by members of parliament. This is coming from a report by the Auditor General. What do you have to say to that, Bwana Manduku? Is there truth to this?
Thank you, and welcome, viewers. Parliament facilitates members' travel to rural constituencies. As you may well know, we represent constituencies that are not very near Nairobi. The Ministry of Transport has given a schedule of the maximum distances from Parliament to your constituency for each individual member. Mileage claims are based on actual distances traveled from Parliament to the constituency. And so when members come back from the constituency, like I've just come back today, all I have to do is go to Parliament and actually claim that I was in the constituency between Friday and yesterday. The distance is known.
Without
the rates are fixed by Automobile Association of Kenya. These are not rates that are fixed by Parliament. In fact, even in private sector, those of us who work in private sector apply the same rates. And the rates differ with the capacity of your engine vehicle. The first thing you do in Parliament is to take a logbook of your car. And the rating is confirmed, whether it is a 4,000cc car or 4,500. Then the mileage is calculated based on the rate, the distance, and the price.
When you're making these claims, do they check the mileage on your car?
You see, the mileage is already known. For example, from here to my constituency is 820 kilometers return trip. And I'll tell you, a Friday in Muli, I've been to the constituency between Friday and yesterday, and I probably did double that mileage.
Is it possible for a member of parliament not to travel, but still make a claim, or probably after a week?
Well, the law doesn't allow that, and I don't think we colleagues don't do that. If you come, and Fred, you can try and call any member of parliament on a Saturday. They'll tell you they're in the constituency. And so when they say fake, really, it's unfair to members of parliament.
We meet some members of parliament in Nairobi over the weekends. Bwana Kanyuithia Mutunga, what is your assessment about this? This is a report by the Auditor General. She could not just be making claims from nowhere.
It doesn't have to be the weekend. The working station for a member of parliament is the constituency. You come to Nairobi to attend parliament for 3 days. Tuesday afternoon, the whole day on Wednesday, and on Thursday afternoon. The rest of the time, you are supposed to be in your constituency or attending to matters in your constituency. Rarely will you find a member of parliament who does not go to the constituency in a week. Rarely. Unless probably you are held up in a committee meeting. But that committee meeting covers the working days. And on Saturday and Sunday, you are free. Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, you are free to go to the constituency. Now, Friday is considered a working day whereby we finish business on that evening. And then you can go for a retreat on Friday. But on Saturday, you are released to go to the constituency. And always, every Sunday, there's a Harambee. Not one, not five, sometimes 27 Harambes. You cannot even manage to go around. You know, when you behave like you are too holy, that you don't understand what happens in this country. Like you know, life is so straight. It is not. Again, a member of parliament can go to the constituency several times. You are considered only once. For instance, I was in my constituency on Friday. Yesterday, I had an issue in my constituency. If I was not involved in a budget making process, I would have gone to my constituency again. And then you rush there and go back. Secondly, how do you call it fictitious?
If I told you I traveled yesterday,
How do you call it?
would you claim for both travels?
No, you're not allowed to claim.
Once
You only
per
claim once in a week. Again, as he has put it very clearly, it is determined. They know. You don't even go and present, say, now today I've traveled 200 kilometers, the other day I've traveled 500 kilometers. Why don't they give, why does she not give statistics of the members of parliament from Nairobi?
Because
Are they paid because if it is fictitious, then it means you just go pass through there and fill forms and you get money.
Because that's the claim.
It has been a contentious issue because they also travel their constituencies many times.
Every day.
Every day they are always moving around, and it has been a major issue. He is here, and he will tell you whether
He goes to his constituency every day, I can assure you, but he doesn't get mileage claim.
No. Wanagakuya, your colleagues are benefiting. They're getting more than double their salaries. Someone is ending up from a gross salary of 725. The take home is 2.4 million shillings. Do you enjoy such a benefit?
Actually, that is the highest discrimination. We have been in the center of negotiating, and it has not been yielding any fruits. Considering that by the time this particular model of cream was introduced during Moyela, it's like it shuts out those who are in the proximity of the city and including the city itself. We have tried to negotiate for this to also get into that particular package. It has not yielded any fruit. But I would like to say, yes, I do agree with the members that majority of the members deserve that mileage. But also, I would like to say there is a big misuse of the same package. The claim has been done by members who doesn't even step to their constituency in a single day. And
so you agree with this report that yes, there are those who...
I can tell you for sure, this report...
There are some false claims.
...can catch many, but many also get into their constituencies every weekend. And not even every weekend, even during some mid-weekends. But there are a very big number of them who only get to claim because this has become a routine. I would like to say this formula, the formula is not fair to the taxpayer. If the formula should be returned to the mileage of the car, and that's the only way that you can get exactly you can be able to catch those who does claim which is not there. If there can be that consideration, then the taxpayer can be in a safe net. But if not, the figures and the mileage and the kilometer introduced formula will always not catch anybody because no single vehicle is being measured after that particular trip.
And I know that MPs have even changed their mode of travel nowadays. They use choppers. But do you accept that, yes, there are some members who do not necessarily visit their constituencies every week, but still get to claim this mileage?
The model here is one claim per week up to a maximum number of kilometers. Let me tell you,
whether or not you actually travel.
Let me tell you, Fred, if, for example, I was asked to give my mileage between Friday and yesterday that I have done in my constituency, it will be more than double what is provided for in the law. If we go the way that Honorable Gakuya is proposing, that we bring our odometer meeting, our odometer reading every Monday morning, I can assure you, this will be double. When you see the member for, I think, is it Northeastern, Mandera, if you ask a member of Mandera to go around his constituency in one weekend, that will be 3 times. Let's be realistic. And that is why it is pegged to a maximum number of kilometers. And the maximum is actually unfair because it takes the distance between the parliament and the farthest corner of your constituency.
Are you suggesting that this allowance should just be a statutory figure, that we know the number of kilometers to your constituency is this much and we expect you to be going there once a week, so this is the amount to expect?
That is what it is. That is exactly what it is. If they did the alternative...
Whether you go or not.
Yes, if they did the alternative, I can assure you Parliament will pay 3 times. I'm an example myself. When I go to the constituency, I don't just go and stop there. I must go around. And by the time I go around my constituency, in one single day, I have done 300 kilometers. Now, I did it for 4 days. Add that to 820. I should be claiming 3 times. But because they have done it to a maximum, then we don't claim that. Yeah, and so when they say fake, really, it's unfair to members of parliament. It's not fake. And we don't just fill a form. No, you claim this reimbursement.
Okay. Bwana Mutunga, because I can see the Auditor General is being described here as part of the magnificent duo. But not many legislators agree with that. I can see the leader of majority, the leader of minority in the National Assemblies appear to differ, especially on some of the dealings of the Auditor General. Do you think this is one of those reports from the Auditor General that probably is misunderstood?
I said earlier that the assumption that probably the Auditor General has taken is that every claim must be supported. And my colleague here has very clearly put it that if we go that direction, the costs will be too much for this country.
But there's a maximum set that you cannot go beyond this.
But why should you have a maximum if you cannot have an average? Why should maximum be the rule? Because the maximum will also be shifting based on the arguments. So you'll open up the Pandora's box and it will be so unmanageable. Because if somebody places a claim, like for instance, I'm allowed to go for 270 kilometers one way. Now, if I bring a claim of 900 kilometers that I covered, the next weekend I bring 1,200, there will be no limit. The other day I say I went around 10 times in my constituency. So that will open up for a lot of, planning to get more money. And to curtail that, the government made a decision to make it statutory that we will take your distance to the distance from Parliament to the farthest point in your constituency, and give you that as one way. So 2-way, that's it. Based on the vehicle you're using, you register the vehicle at the beginning of the term of Parliament, and there are a few assumptions. But in everything, in every decision making, there are assumptions, there are simplifications, and in order to arrive at a decision. So you must, and there are judgments. So you must include all those in making the decision. So all the assumptions were put on place. We tried to simplify this, and then the judgments were also put in place, and a decision was made. That decision works today. But in Timuli, we are Kenyans and we are human beings. You can never miss an individual who wants to steal. An individual doesn't want to go to the constituency and still claim. This is stealing.
At least you agree
So there may be a few cases where a few people do not go actually. They don't go, they don't appear in their constituency, and therefore they still claim for the mileage. The others will appear 4 times, but then they will claim for 1. They are allowed to only claim once. And even those will tell you, I will skip this one so that I give myself leeway to visit my constituency 3-4 times next month, because that's when I have so many activities.
Right.
So I think it's really unfair. Everything to do with politicians in this country is unnecessarily blown out of proportion for reasons I don't understand.
Well, it is, if you say more than 3 times someone's salary, ending up in the account is something blown up. That's a situation there. Put there on the front page of the Star, because the gross salary of this MP from Mandera is 725,000, but they end up with a total of 2.417 million shillings. Why? The biggest inclusion there is a mileage allowance. And for this example, this MP earns 1.2 million shillings monthly as mileage allowance, almost double the gross salary. And meanwhile, Bwanagakuya, who's an MP from the city, gets nothing. Anyway, huge rip-off, fake mileage cash scandal, shake up MPs. That's a big headline on the front page of the Star. Now that we are talking about the Auditor General, we move on from the Star and we move to the Standard, where she's being described as part of the magnificent duo at a time when independent institutions are weakened and Parliament appears increasingly aligned with the executive. Auditor General Nancy Gathungu and Controller of Budget Margaret Nyakango have remained unwavering public watchdogs, championing accountability in the use of public resources. Despite intense scrutiny and accusations of corruption from MPs, they remain steadfast in their commitment to serving the country. But legislators are not in agreement with this. They're split about whether or not these two are actually the magnificent duo. Senators, for example, have supported most of them. Richard Onyonka of Kisii says, these two women are my heroes. They are the last line of defense in this country. If you look at the issues they're raising, no man can deal with them, including the one on MPs and mileage. Kimani Ichung'wah, was the leader of majority in the National Assembly, says the Office of Control of Budget needs to style up. County governments are suffering. Speaking to any governor, they will tell you that you have to bribe officers in that office to get the expenditure approved. And he's in agreement with the minority leader, Junet Mohammed, on the same. Edwin Sifuna, meanwhile, disagrees and says, Madam Gathungu, you're now the person standing on guard for the resources of this country. Wanagakuya, where do you stand when it comes to the actions of these two women featured on the front page of the Standard? Do you agree that they are the magnificent duo?
In fact, what you judge the performance of an individual from a particular office, whether she's capable of providing the service entrusted to that particular office or required to be successfully attained from that particular office. And I can say, if I would default for the two ladies, I would say they have done their work well, even though there can be small few things here and there. But in terms of performance, both of them, I can rate them at 80%. Mm-hmm. Yes. So they have done a good job. Mm-hmm. And because, in fact, what you need to do is to expose collectively where things are going wrong without fear. Because most of these two offices are very important offices. One, the Auditor General, is the one entrusted to at least raise voice where the executive, the whole government is going wrong. And actually, she has been on the front line in this on that particular area without fear, because we have a state which has been always keep on muting and silencing officers who are on their duty. We have also seen this other lady doing very well, considering that actually she is dealing with politicians and especially governors who want to their issues to be done at any moment in time. But she has been standing firm and even telling governors, do the jobs that are within your mandate in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. Don't keep on going to popular projects that are even part of your line of duty. Right. And this has been very, 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 very focal to those two ladies. And so I can let them the best in their offices for now. Speaking of counters, because both the leader of majority and minority in the National Assembly have quoted county governors in rating the performance of the control of budget and saying that, for example, Junet Mohammed says, for every approval you must part with something. Governors are saying it everywhere. It's almost the same thing the majority leader is talking about. Speaking to any governor, they will tell you this. It is senators who should be telling us more about the counties, but to be members of the National Assembly are more concerned about the workings of devolution and whether or not the control of budget is affecting that. Why is that so? Senators do agree with the control of budget that she's doing the right thing.
Fred, it's quite unfortunate that we are vilifying these professional ladies when we have not taken advantage of reading their reports. I am in a unique position because I sit in the Committee on Public Debt, and these two ladies have appeared before us. In fact, I'm currently reading the report of the Auditor General on the counties. It's a 560-page document which he released covering the years 2023-2024. And it's a damning report on virtually all the counties and the executives in the devolved government. How I wish my colleagues would have read that report before uttering these sentiments. Never mind, there are standards in accounting, international finance reporting standards, which these ladies have applied. For me, and it's very sad, I think we seem to be targeting or women professionals. Don't forget, the other day we were blasting the Chief Justice. We should be looking at the audit reports that they have given to us, analyzing them, scrutinizing, and seeing how to improve, rather than just giving a blanket aspersion or castigating them in a blanket manner. These three ladies, including the Chief Justice, are our last hope. I don't agree with Senator Onyonka. We should not politicize professional work. Let us be objective in what we say. If you read the Controller of Budget's report on allocations to counties, and then you read the Auditor General's reports, then you start realizing that we are actually in trouble as a country, and that is what we should be addressing. So the senators obviously have advantage of having dealt with these ladies one-on-one on a daily basis, because they normally report to them based on the evidence they have. So I don't want to say anything about my colleagues, but I want to say it's better to read the reports, consume them, understand them, and then make a public utterance.
Bwana Mutunga, it would appear that according to the description here, these two women are doing probably more than the National Assembly, which should be doing the better part of the oversight role. And the senators do agree that they appear to be the last line of defense. Could that be the reason why they're getting so much flack, especially from leaders, the leadership of the National Assembly?
I don't think they're getting bashing from the leadership of the National Assembly because they're doing their job wrongly. And if you read the statements here, you read the statements by these two leaders of the Assembly, they are saying that before approvals are done, and no, these are the leaders who approve. One approves the release of the resources to the county, and the other one looks at how have the resources been utilized. I've interacted with the two ladies, and I know the kind of reports they produce. Now, look at the functioning of the counties as we are right now, and look at the oversight role of the senators. The extent to which the senators use these ladies' reports now to do their work. You know, it's one thing to say you are doing a very good job, you're producing very good products, and it's another thing to say, I have used your product and done the right thing. So we are losing as a country because we are not coordinated all through. Some people can do a good job. I want to say that I have read their reports and they do a good job. This is it, this is how it is, and it needs to be investigated. This one is qualified. If you qualify an account, it means you say, this, in my opinion, why it's not for? You know, already they have said the report is there, they have done a job, but there are a few things that needs to be checked. Now, when you're conducting oversight role, you need to use now the products. Onyonka and even Senator Sifuna should actually tell us how have they used the products of these ladies now to oversight, or rather to follow up the ills committed, the wrongs committed, the misdeeds by the counties. How has Senate used it? That's the first one. The second one is, I asked the control on budget a question one time. If you realize that an institution, MDA, is continuously misusing resources, and we know counties actually misusing resources, not only counties, even constituencies, they audit us. Resources are being misused. Would you stop giving them further authorization to get the resources? They say no.
Yet we've seen attempts to actually tame.
So what they do is they recommend. So there is action is taken elsewhere, and that was the answer she gave me. Now, I think as a country, we need to wake up to the reality that there is misuse, there is mismanagement, there is stealing. Therefore, this ladies highlighting, it means they are going as far as defending the Constitution and telling us there are issues here, we need to look at them. Instead of actually condemning them, giving them a blanket condemnation, let us find out how can the products of these ladies be disputed as a product. You look at the report.
For example, the one
how can it be utilized, and is it really comprehensive enough to? You see, what has been missing in this country is to to convict. Conviction has been an issue. We only, our courts are courts of acquittal. Every time, people are cleansed. We just saw the other day of the former Nairobi and Kiambu governor and Waititu. And it was like to made headlines many times. Why? Because it's like about the first one to really go through. Why is it amazing us? And these things are happening everywhere. So I think what we need to do is, let's look at the products of these ladies. Let's rate them by their products, by the usefulness of their products. If there are issues within, let's also highlight some of those issues, other than condemning them for doing their job as per the constitutional.
We've seen attempts to actually tame the powers that these two women wield. Some even said to be emanating from the National Assembly through amendments to some of the bills. Do you agree that the biggest opposition they face is from legislators?
I wonder, let us agree, Idimuli, that when such critical reports are being brought to forth, and it exposes most of some critical areas of concern, don't expect anybody else to be used to batch. Then those who are seriously pinned down will still use the membership of the House to bash the sources of the report. And that's why sometimes you realize, even though you have PSC and PAC, with the very important reports that are supposed to be given a particular consideration, sometimes you find that they lapses. And the strength that you could have expected that particular report to be given, you don't find it because of interference from outside. And that interference finds members, and mostly at their committee level, and being compromised somehow. Therefore, the work and the good work done by those agencies sometimes get into doom. So the serious effect, the serious fight they usually get is from the members. Sometimes I remember there was a team which was even intending to look for a way to fire Gavango. And those are members. And you ask yourself why. It's out of outside influence. And then you must ask yourself, what is this? Because a member is a member who's supposed to peruse the report and take the necessary steps against the report, but not to go drastically as if you are fighting with the agency, unless you have been influenced from some particular forces.
And that's the most interesting thing, because for any of these reports to be actioned, the National Assembly and the Senate come in handy. When the legislators are the ones fighting the same offices, what happens? Does it mean that all these reports end up inconsequential?
Fred, I want to agree with my colleague, Mheshimiwa Mtunga, that the good thing about this is that these reports will eventually find their way to Parliament, and they'll be tabled before the relevant committees. In this case, specifically, either the Public Accounts Committee or the Public Investment Committees. Now, the work of the committee is non-partisan and is normally very professional. And so, once these reports come to Parliament, I can assure you, regardless of what other members think or what the leadership thinks, they'll be dealt with in accordance with the existing laws. And so I think we should give confidence to the public that some of us will actually do our work very well when these reports appear before us.
Even such a report so that appears to paint you in a bad light?
Yes, if it comes, we shall deal with it professionally. Yes.
Bwana Mutunga, can you give us any level of confidence that this, especially this, where members of the National Assembly are concerned, will still get the proper attention that it deserves?
Yeah, you get proper attention. The reason is that the committees are constituted in a way that, let me start by saying that the work of the committee is not purely done by leaders alone. The work of the committees is prepared by professionals within Parliament. We have a backup of over 1,000 workers who are really, sharp professionals who support the committee business. So discussions around issues, whether they concern members of Parliament or not, basically dwell on the law and the constitutionalism. And the report gives recommendations based on the findings. And before you arrive at the findings, you must have explored all the possibilities. Look for whatever information that you can get in order to arrive at and you know, these reports are done for, they won't be there for a very long time. So whenever a committee signs off a report, that is why it must be adopted by a minimum of more than half of the members of the committee must sign off a report for it to be tabled in the House. So you must get the majority approval for such a report.
And once it's tabled in the House, then it becomes a matter of record. Magnificent duo, that's the description on the front page of the Standard, as the Standard continues with its striking two-word headlines. Very descriptive, especially on individuals who have been making headlines. We now want to move on to the bigger discussion that we're having. 3-4 days after the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between Raila Odinga and President William Ruto, it continues to be one of the biggest talking points. I can see on the front pages at least mention of what has been happening. On the front page of the Standard, Kisii leaders divided over Raila heckling, and on the Daily Nation, they talk about unity test. Raila men skip Ruto tour of Nairobi. It is part of what we've been covering. Let's take a look at President William Ruto defending the unity while on his tour of the city. Let's watch that story and continue with this conversation.
I will never be part of any policy that categorizes Kenyans into different categories. Siwezi, na nilisema wakati nimechaguliwa ya kwamba tutaweka uwiano wa Wakenya, umoja ya Wakenya, usawa katika taifa letu la Kenya. Hatuwezi kuendelea na mambo ambayo inagawanya wananchi katika viwango viwili. Ati kuna Wakenya wanapata vitambulisho kwa hali moja, alafu kuna Wakenya wengine wanapata vitambulisho kwa kiwango kingine. That is unacceptable, it is undemocratic, it is unconstitutional, it is illegal. And we cannot continue with that kind of parochialism. Hatuwezi kusema jamii fulani ni wagaidi. Wagaidi ni wahalifu. Na tumeona katika uhalifu kwamba haina kabila. Unakuta pale katika wahalifu wamepatikana kuna watu wa makabila zote. So I want to tell the people of Kenya that they will never again be discriminated against in the issuance of IDs on the basis of their religion, on the basis of their ethnicity, or on the basis of the region they come from.
Mimi naomba kabisa usaidie hapo, tusirudi huko tena. Hatusemi kwamba Wasomali wasipewe kitambulisho. Hii mambo ya mipaka yote. Tunasema our local people within Kenya njia patikana kupata vitambulisho haraka. Ili wageni nao wasipate nini? Vitambulisho. Lakini la muhimu, Your Excellency, baada ile mambo ilifanyika jana, watu kuja pamoja, mimi ningependa sasa focus kwa vijana kidogo, and the first present za kuwapatia ni kutoa pesa ya kulipa ukipata vitambulisho. Hiyo shilingi 300 ikitolewa, watu watapata vitambulisho mingi hadi atashinda ile mambo ya kule vetting.
Yes, I think that story talks more about issues to do with national unity, but I wanted more talk about what's happening after the signing of the MOU. So probably let's watch the story with where the president started his tour of the city yesterday, and he's set to continue today.
Wapi nduru ya vijana wa Eastleigh nisikie?
Barely a week after a political agreement between President William Ruto and his former political rival Raila Odinga, the head of state, in what seemed to be a strategy to popularize the partnership, commenced his 3-day tour of Nairobi County, commissioning a number of development projects. Traversing Nairobi's Kamukunji constituency Monday morning, the head of state officially opened the Kamukunji Technical and Vocational College, where he reaffirmed his commitment to establish TVET institutions in order to provide more youth with technical know-how necessary for Kenya's progress.
Hii college iko na wanafunzi 500, lakini tunataka wanafunzi zaidi. Tunataka wanafunzi 2,000 zaidi waingie kwa hii college.
With the institution set to be expanded, the head of state pledged 50 million shillings to support the expansion, with construction set to begin by June 2025.
Hii college tutawapatia milioni 50 ingine, tujenge college ya electrical, tujenge college ya building technology, na tujenge college ya automotive technology.
During the launch of Nairobi Rivers Engineering Works in Kamukonji constituency, the head of state said the Nairobi Rivers Regeneration Project will provide labor opportunities to more than 40,000 youths through the Climate Works program. Currently, 22,000 youths are engaged and another 18,000 will be incorporated in Kenya Kwanza government's plan to create job opportunities.
Tuko na vijana 22,000 tayari. Lakini mimi natangaza hapa leo ya kwamba tutaongeza vijana wengine 18,000 waungane katika mradi huu.
Ruto will likely highlight the importance of his partnership with Odinga and its potential advantages for the nation's development trajectory during his Nairobi tour, which serves as an early evaluation of their recent political alignment.
Katika muungano huo hakuna mtu atawachwa nyuma, hakuna jamii itawachwa nyuma, hakuna sehemu ya Kenya itawachwa nyuma, hakuna dini itawachwa nyuma.
As part of the agreement, both parties pledged to collaborate on national development projects and identify areas of bipartisan cooperation.
The launch of Nairobi Rivers Engineering Works officially opens President William Ruto's Nairobi County tour, projected to benefit 17 constituencies in his development plan for his Kenya Kwanza government. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
So President William Ruto, 3 days after signing that MOU with Raila Odinga, going out, yes, on a development tour, but also in an attempt to try and popularize the newfound alliance. It's not been easy, and we've seen instances where a lot of pushback has been witnessed, key among them in Kisii. Will it be so easy for the president and his newfound ally Raila Odinga to popularize this MOU that they signed, and what could be their best selling point at this time?
Edimole, what I can speak from this point is that it's not new, and we are used to this kind of hardships and comforts of such leadership. And what I would say is that this is nowhere anything that is to the comfort of the common monarchy. This is purely what we call individualism and what political individual interests. This is vendetta that Raila has lost in AU, and then you want to accommodate him on a manner that he will be in your team. And therefore, you have to sacrifice and give him a room so that at least he can be always. Let me say this. Immediately, you have been always the fighter of liberation, fighting for the citizens of this country. And you have decided to go to bed with the government. You cannot be able to fight the government when you are still in the same bed. And therefore, the voice of the people has come to an end. And nothing that Kenyans can expect from Raila Odinga going forward. He's already a compromised person. And that is the correct position, which is okay because that is his own right. He has decided to take that route. And it's fine. But he cannot stand to say that he's there to fight for Kenyans because the constitution is very clear. And it's not only the Kenyan constitution which has been very clear, put line on the government and the opposition. In our system, we have the minority and majority and the minority. But in this kind of coalition, William have a double speak, telling us today he want to bring everybody on board, Why doesn't the Constitution envisage that we need to go to the election as one, not as divided parties? Then if that is the aim, why don't we then follow all the parties and go back to one party? So that we can serve Kenyans well, if that idea is a working idea. Yes, then the interest of the multi-party does not then apply anywhere.
You seem to suggest that this union is simply about 2027. There's a 10-point MOU that was signed on Friday. Have you had a chance to look at the 10 points?
The 10 points, whether they are there or not, those are just gimmicks. It is just there to massage Kenyans. But I can tell you, Raila told us that actually we want to move to the public and consult people. But in his back of his mind, he had his mindset, what he want to do. But he was just massaging Kenyans, that he's doing consultation. But behind his mind, he was sure and what he was intending to do. And nothing could stop that. And I can tell you in the movie, Raila is not one of those who can be able to live quite away from what we call the bread and the butter. And in this case, Raila has contributed that his party has given out 4 members of cabinet. And as we stand here, the chamber has already compromised the team. Then what we have currently is neither there nor here, because we're having minority and majority, where in the House they are not doing what the standing order envisaged, because they have taken chairmanship of those departmental committees, which the standing order does not apply. And therefore, we are giving us what we call a mixed kind of organizations, which does not stand in the Constitution.
But if you look at the 10 points from the MOU, and probably that's why many people are questioning whether or not this is a real deal, the MOU that was signed. Most of those points are issues that are provided for in the Constitution. Issues about leadership and integrity, right to peaceful assembly, audit of national debt, fighting corruption, wastage of public resources, sovereignty of the people. These are things that are already provided for in the Constitution. Do you agree that probably the 10 points in that MOU are just window dressing? The real deal is not even contained in the 10 points, is something else? Probably what Bonagakuya is saying.
Fred,
2027.
Fred, I think for the avoidance of doubt, let me say that we as members of the Orange Democratic Movement fully support the collaboration or cooperation between our party and Kenya Kwanza. And the reason is simple, and I've said it here before. 2.5 years down the line, or halfway through our parliamentary and presidential terms, the average Kenyan is still not seeing anything new that has come or anything new that has added into his life. We realized as leaders that rather than lament, it is better to salvage the remaining 2.5 years of this presidency and this term so that we can inject our expertise to help the average Kenyan. And so we are coming in not just to aid in the achievement or attainment of the 10 points, but also to address the critical issues that still affect the country. Otherwise, this would have been a wasted term. But having said that...
are they the savior?
Having said that...
To the country's economy? To the mess of the country? Really?
You know, Gakuya was there when they
sincere?
started. Gakuya was there in Kenya Kwanza. You remember when he started this show, Gakuya was on top of the roof saying how they are going to transform the country. 2.5 years down the line, now he's pointing fingers at us. And yet we've just come in. We're just 1 week old in this arrangement. Gakuya. You'll see a difference. But more than that...
So there's more. There's definitely more than the 10 points.
What seems to happen...
The salvation that you bring to this administration.
Yes.
And probably
stability, inclusivity. You will not hear any more drums of war. I can assure you.
The necessity of ODM is beyond these 10 points.
Yes, because what is in law has not been applied. And I've said it before. Before we came into government, there was a lot of ethnic profiling in terms of recruitment and opportunities in this country. Now we hope that beginning last week, Friday, going forward, you will see a difference in the Muli, I can tell you. And I told you before that once we are in government and we have half of it, you'll start seeing the face of Kenya. You'll start seeing meritocracy. But more than that, what is coming out? And this relates to what happened in Kisii. Our people are still not satisfied. And I want to say it here, that the Kisii nation is still not satisfied. But I'm asking them to give the former Prime Minister a little more time so that he can correct what is perceived as evil. You know, there's a famous quote.
Government appointments?
Of course, that is one of them. There's a famous quote that says you can fool some people all the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. And we politicians think that we can fool our people all the time. Why? Because what happened in Kisii was actually spontaneous. It shows you that the average person is still not satisfied with this arrangement. But I'm urging them to please
give it. What will be the selling point? Because we're looking at the 10 points. What will you tell the Kisii people from these 10 points that can be a selling point to them?
Inclusivity, equitable distribution of development, addressing the issues of health, addressing the issues of education, and raising or ensuring that our youth have opportunities. More than that, one of the things that these 10 points address is
I don't want to
cost of living.
Interrupt my colleague. But the big question is this. Yes, we are coming in to bring that element of inclusivity. You bring inclusivity when you are following others. Are they not Kenyans? Okay. Yes.
Fred, I know my friend Honorable Gakuya.
Because they are very comfortable now receiving those possessions which has been held by other Kenyans.
It is a valid point.
Because they are not Kenyans. Because
yes.
We've seen even in the National Assembly, the movement of chairs of various committees.
Yes.
And of course, people from one region appear to have been pushed to one side.
For the first time, the Gusii nation will get a chair of a committee. Will get a vice chair of a committee. I call that inclusivity. What do you call that? In their government, where they were, half the committees were controlled by one community. Now that is changing, and that is why Gakuya
therefore
is very
they have
bitter.
to be sacrificial lambs.
Well, call them lambs or whatever. But the thing is, inclusivity is in the constitution. It is in the 10-point agenda. And now we're saying we're implementing it. Why didn't they implement it when they were in government? And in any case, who chased them out of government? Gakuya, you're still in Kenya Kwanza the last time I checked.
That's pretty good, but Mutunga, are you concerned that this, because Gakuya claims they're coming for 50% of government and all other positions, including in the National Assembly. Are you concerned as a member of that Kenya Kwanza arrangement that they could be taking up too much space?
I would like us to go a little bit further back, not really to look at issues today, but look at issues even before we got into this government. During the pre-campaign, pre-2022 election era, every leader, the two main principals who are competing for the presidency, were looking for anybody in Kenya who would facilitate them to become the president. In other words, they were trying to incorporate as many of the different, formations that there were as possible. To me, that is the initial effort towards inclusivity. If it were possible for these two to have talked that time before and agreed now we need to form a government, they would have formed a government like probably we have in Rwanda, or a government like we have in Uganda or in another place. The Kenyan Constitution is very, very clear. The Kenyan Constitution is praised as one of the most, progressive, advanced constitutions in Africa. But the Kenyan Constitution is not working. The reason being this: we are sub-units within the entire continuum. We do not promote what we call inclusivity, if I may use the word. But when it comes to political competition, there will be, as per the Constitution, a winner and a loser. The winner will form the government, and the winner, in the interpretation of the Constitution, will exercise inclusivity. But what has happened, practically, is that it has not been possible because we define our terms politically. We have taken polity to be the defining factor of everything. Development has to be politically defined. Even policies have to align to certain political inclinations and so on and so forth. So polity in Kenya is promoted, is the highest. It's actually the belief, the paradigm that basically defines everything. That being the case, we have seen initial steps towards nationalism or bringing different factions together. And that is why there was the NADCO. The NADCO team came up with a NADCO report. This NADCO report spoke to the spirit of the signed accord now between Raila Odinga and William Ruto. Now, the NADCO report measured those issues not because they were not in the Constitution. They are very clearly articulated in the Constitution, but they have not been actioned. They have not been realized. Kenyans do not feel them because they align to their faction, they align to their leadership. We need to break these alignments so that we can have a Kenyan nation.
What is so different this time around with the MOU? These are
let me finish. I'm trying to address my issue. I'm coming back to that. I'm coming to that. Now, if you look at the issues in the National Accord and the 10 issues that were formed the basis of this coalition, I don't think there's any difference. It is just the same thing. The only thing that has been amplified is about inclusion of the youth or promotion of activities that target the youth. Let's go back to African democracy. Which country in Africa can we say has better democracy than Kenya? Which one? All the others have some form of relative levels of dictatorship. And that's why they have worked. So we do not want dictatorship here because everybody is free to say anything and do anything in this country because of the constitution that we have. That being the case, it is not possible to contain the whole in a form so that you can realize function. We must be able to have a workable formula to run a country. It is not easy for William Ruto to run a country when so many people are complaining out there. You waste the time trying to quell the complaints, trying to pacify the people. How do you pacify the people? These people are saying, we are seeing it differently. We can offer a solution to what we are seeing. What happened in May last year, in June last year, could never have happened if probably we were where we are today. Why? Because Kenyans probably would have felt they would have gotten the answers to the questions they raised. And they raised many questions. Now, the people in opposition then, or in the minority in the House, basically aligned with the other Kenyans in the misinterpretation of the finance bill, supported the view of the Kenyans in fighting this government to have inclusivity. And that was the issue. It was not really what happened last year was not because the government was not working. It was not because the government was not delivering. It was because of the interpretation of the delivery of the government itself. It was not sufficiently inclusive. We're not paying attention to the rule of law and constitutionalism, issues of equity, issues of peace, and all those things came in. So Kenyans actually almost fought because of that. We do not want to solve our problems through a civil war.
My concern now is how different will it be? The list of 10 things listed there, these are things Kenyans have had over and over.
Indemnitely. Are you telling me that...
What is so different this time?
Now, let me answer your question with a question. Are you telling me that the way the situation is right now is the way it was last year in May?
Pacification of the masses, that's the only...
Pacification of the masses will come through relative interpretation of the peace that there is and relaying that, or rather basically discussing that with the people to actualize. Remember, there are people who say, if our leader said this, we believe it. We do not want to even read that document. We believe it is good.
But we are seeing a pushback. We're seeing a pushback given from within ODM itself, that people have not fully bought into this idea.
Remember,
we saw what happened in Kisii.
Remember, ODM was not formed yesterday. ODM has been there for a very long time. ODM has got its own ideology. This ideology has been drummed onto the people for a very long time. For us to get people united, we have to unlearn them in order to learn them now into the new order. So if we have to do that, there must be, of course, reprisals. This will be there. And then finally, people realize, oh, actually, it is working. Yeah, if it works for us, if Kenya becomes peaceful, if Kenya becomes forthright, if development happens everywhere, if things like the equalization fund and all the initiatives that have been put in place work, then every logically thinking and positive, forthright Kenyan will realize, actually, this is working. And then you support what is working. Who would support war? I think it would be wrong. It would be the wrong approach.
I think the keyword there, you put if it works. We'll be back to take a look at the kind of pushback, as you can see even in Nairobi, 3 days after signing the MOU. The senator was nowhere near the president as he began his tour of Nairobi. It should have been probably expected that Senator Sifuna would appear because Governor Sakaja was there. Let's take a short break. When we come back, Morning Cafe continues with this conversation.
Over your favorite group.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create.
Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up.
When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If you're
And we're back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Fred Indemuli. I'm still in studio with MPs John Kanyuithia Mutunga, Daniel Manduku, and James Gakuya of Tigania West, Nyaribari Masaba, and Embakasi North, respectively. We continue looking at the MOU and the aftermath, if we may call it that. It would appear that both leaders have an uphill task, Bwana Gakuya, in trying to now shape what this new alliance will mean for the next 2.5 years. It has not escaped our attention that even the side that you swear your allegiance to was interested in forming an alliance with Raila Odinga as well. How does this change your game plan going forward? Do you think it's easier now for you that the MOU has been signed, or does it complicate matters?
One, let me just respond very quickly on the possibilities. It could be very disappointing for the head of state at a point where he could have lost Laira and Gachagua at the same time. That means the head of state could be somehow almost naked. That, therefore, he had to make a very strong compromise to make sure that he can't lose BAMBA at this time. And the game here is not for now. Mm-hmm. I can tell you for sure, the game is the election of the head of state. But this mathematics may not work. we have known Raila for long. Raila has been in coalition with Moi, with Kibaki, at a time when Madizi and Origins also brought this country to a fire. So if Raila is serious enough to this commitment of this new marriage, then probably William will is lucky. But it's true, yes, both are known fled because they were the founders of what we call Pentagon during their tenure of coalition. But remember very well, we had the last election where we had a sitting president, Honorable Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, and the official leader of opposition, who is Raila Odinga, and they were beaten by somebody who was not anyhow the holder of what you call state machinery. And therefore, Kenyans has no power over these two gentlemen. And their game will be beaten by Kenyans, hands down. And I wait this because it's a game that actually will last not more than 2.5 years to an election. But I can assure you, even if there is no single approval that Raila plus William is a victory in 2027. And if that's the game, then the Kenyans will teach them otherwise.
Okay. Manduku, the questions about whether or not the center will hold, and there are many scenarios within UDA itself, with the kind of positions and space that ODM will come to occupy, there will definitely be casualties. There are people whose spaces will be stifled. Their positions, I could see that even the deputy president was struggling on where exactly he should stand for the photo session, meaning that we do not know what will happen. Look at ODM. The Secretary General is very clear. He said, we are clear about what MOU is and what it is not. And yesterday, by him staying away from the president's city tour, it spoke a lot. 3 members of parliament from Nairobi did not accompany the president in that city tour. This is ODM. Definitely, there are problems beyond even what we saw in Kisii. Even within ODM itself, there is an uphill task to convince members that this is the right way to go.
The truth of the matter is that there's a lot of disillusionment among our populace. And more so, the people of Gusii are highly disillusioned, both with the performance of the national government and the county government. And to fuel this disillusionment further is the fact that we in the opposition have now joined the government. Now, obviously, this is a paradigm shift, which many of our people did not expect. And having spoken to our party leader and leaders of our collaboration, they seem to have a clear roadmap on where we are and what we are entering into. And I want to urge my people that eventually, we as their leaders will try and extract maximum benefit from this arrangement. If it does not work for us, then we'll go back to our people and tell them, we tried this, it did not work. And at the end of the day, we shall go with our people. But also, there's comfort in that politics is dynamic. And 2 years is a long time. Who knew that Gakuya today would be blasting President William Ruto? Who knows what will happen tomorrow? And this arrangement and the deal that our party has entered into with the Kenya Kwanza is purely on the 10-point agenda. And so when SG said it is not this and this, then anything left out of that agenda is not part of the deal. But this could metamorphose with time and probably form a better collaboration going to 2027 and beyond. Nowhere in that 10-point agenda is it written that ODM shall support William Ruto in 2027. But if that comes to it, then we shall go back to our people and tell them this is now what we're getting ourselves into. We're very clear in our mind. We want to see development in our regions. If this doesn't bring that, then we have no business being in it. And we'll tell our people that. And so, I know there's impatience because the problems that our people started having in 2022 are still the same problems they have today, if not more. I'll give you an example. We were told that with the new health system, we'll no longer do fundraisings for our medical requirements. Today, I have 2 fundraisings at 5 p.m. on people who are stuck in hospital. And so we are saying in the next 2 years, these things that touch on our people must be sorted out. Then if they are not, we'll have new arrangements going forward. And we are open to any positive arrangement. But let me say this, and I'm not in any way vilifying Honorable Gakuya. When William Ruto and my party leader, Raila Odinga, sit and make an arrangement, it is wrong. But when Kalonzo Musyoka, Rigathi Gachagua, Martha Karua, and Eugene sit and make an arrangement, it's not wrong. I think we should avoid doublespeak and say that in an effort to expand our democracy, political alliances shift. And let me tell you, Fred, when we went to the polls in 2022,
so then we can say it is interests.
Of course,
so
it's
ODM is there now.
There's nothing we can't. We have interests, and that's what we are in this arrangement. And if you're not here for any interest, then you better.
That's fine. My concern is
when we got into
the Secretary General of the party.
It didn't the biggest question
of Nairobi.
Where are the Kenyans left? Because they are not part of this
political interest.
When we went to election, we thought that Raila Odinga would be president and would capture power through a genuine electoral process. Now we are in government without causing violence or without staging a coup. Our ultimate objective, in a way, has been met, in that we are now on the table deciding how to distribute resources to our people. And I keep saying, with a capital letter, distribution of equitable resources to our people. That has lacked in the last 2 years. And we hope now that we are inside, this must be done. If it's not done, then we shall exit. And that is why we are saying, let us give it support for the time being.
But that agreement to give it support now appears not to be the same across the party ranks. There are people who clearly are hesitant to do that.
You see, there are always casualties in any arrangement. And you may find that now, because of the collaboration, the expanded base, one or two people may feel that they're left out or that they're not being heard. It is normal in any growing cooperation, in any growing merger, in any growing collaboration.
Those who fall off,
it is natural attrition. It is just like the food chain, you know, the pyramid is always based.
Is that the same that we expect to see within Kenya Kwanza? We've seen previous such unions, even between, in the Grand Coalition government, between there was a prime minister and the president and the vice president in between. Issues of protocol, issues of who takes precedence where. Should we expect that to happen now that he says they are ready to occupy 50% of government? Will positions like for the prime cabinet secretary and the deputy president be safe?
Idimoli, that question, I cannot answer it fully because I may not know quite a bit of content relative to the question. But let me go back to the two.
So you do agree that it's beyond the 10-point agenda. There's so much more.
Let me say that, let me look at the two principles. Each of them promised Kenyans a better place to live in, better approach to development, rational distribution of resources, many things, when they were looking for votes. And one had an opportunity, the other did not have an opportunity. And the margin was very narrow, which means one had about half of the Kenyans, the other one had about half of the Kenyans. So they now have an opportunity to deliver that. If they can agree to work together, it means there is congruence of mind. It means their deals have merged somehow. That means they can now sit down and propel this country in a better way. There will be peace, there will be rational distribution of resources, there will action development across the country, and not in some parts and others. Now, the other issue that is also coming in is the issue of initial buy-in. In every situation, individuals must synthesize what you are saying. For us to cause action, we must tell the people, people must buy in. That's why in politics, you must campaign. You must go to the people many times. You must show them the different interpretations of what you mean so that they can align with it. They can process. Kenyans are processing. Now, the individuals who boycotted, I'm talking about the individuals and Kisii. I want to talk about those two issues. First of all, they are the people in Kisii. It is Sunday. Raila has just gone and he has not consulted, probably has not told them, they have not felt sufficient consultation, although he said he was consulting. So probably now they reacted out of, now you have sold us out. You've not involved us. But there's going to be a process of telling them exactly where it started, how it progressed up to the point of signing. That opportunity is there. But when it comes to individuals, you see, also need to look at them as individuals. Besides, they have their own opinions. They have their own, they have to synthesize this and accept. They have to heal from, you know. Of course, if you look at somebody like Baba Wino, what has he not called Ruto? So he cannot wake up immediately and then he probably needs to process what he has to say. He needs to honor his steps. So people need to be given time. So time heals everything. Wapewe muda, they'll be there. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that it is wrong to say that the Kenyans are not with them. A leader sells ideology. And then if the ideology of the leader resonates with the needs of the people follow. That's why there is leadership. That's why not everyone will be a leader.
Yet previously, we've seen that such arrangements have received a lot of public support. The Grand Coalition government, Kenyans were in support of it.
But how long did it take?
But they were
a long time. How much of the? We remember the many discussions we had in Naivasha, wherever. It took quite a bit of time to develop. This other one has taken a very short time, and you know there is reason. We are losing on very critical time. We are losing on development. We are losing on making proper decisions. We are also being watched by others from out there. How are we solving our own problems? And we do not want to choose the wrong means. We cannot dump our chest. We cannot tell Kenyans, go and fight. Who are you fighting? Kenyans are the same. We are all brothers and sisters in this country. So the reason why Kenya has remained the way it is because of the diversity. The diversity of Kenyans is our unity. That's what has helped us out.
And I realize you did not want to comment on the issue of the deputy president or the prime cabinet.
No, the honoring, that one is that's protocol. We'll have to be decided upon. But there's one thing I want to say. It is wrong for anyone to say that Raila will not buy in or Raila will not be there. The same Raila with his own mind and his ideology is the same Raila who said Kibaki tosha. So anything is possible. Let's not try to have a stance here. It is wrong.
You can see an opportunity, a political opportunity, especially with the expected fall, because some people may be displaced with this new arrangement.
Oh, for sure. This kind of course and this new marriage, there has to be those who will be dissatisfied with the marriage. And at the tail end, if they feel they are totally uncomfortable with the new arrangement, then the best thing to do is to quit. And I expect that actually there will be such men that will be bold enough to say no to this. Because whether the ideology is anything to do, we have known that this government has messed the country on a very negative way. And in fact, Kenyans are asking themselves, why is this old man now going to give a pillar to make that this house is not going to collapse? At the time when Kenyans were at the point where that we are just waiting this particular crowd to pass so that at least we get to an election and we look for a new government. So that is the hope that they had. And that's why this time round, they are not in support of this kind of arrangement. Number two, if we would like to start to say that we have gone to what we broad-based government so that we can bring everybody on board. Really? My biggest question is, doesn't each and every other Kenya matter? Mm-hmm. When you are going to bring peace, when you want to bring broad-based, because once you handle the Raila crisis, that Raila is capable of making things not work. He can bring demonstrations in the city or nationwide, which can be able to hold you. But the question is, does this then cure those other interests of those other Kenyans left aside? Are they not part of the broad-based? They're not Kenyans. And the question is, surely, does they matter? One thing, let us agree on one thing. Whether Raila is coming in, he's coming in and he has made a route to purge Gachagua out of the government. Otherwise, without Raila's support, Gachagua could still be the deputy president of this country. So he has made some people casualty who fought for this government very vigorously to attain what they are today. Therefore, he's coming in to eat fruits he never fought for. And what do you think that the rest of the supporters will stand for? Do you still think that they buy the ideology? Because the time now has come that Baba is now compromised and everything is okay. I can tell you for sure, this Bola will just want to leave it to Kenyans to decide. And they are the one to determine whether this government will be given another chance or not. So that one I refer to them.
Now, there's something I want to say here. We all are Kenyans had been here long enough. We all know why Gachagua was impeached, clearly. It has absolutely nothing to do with Raila. Nothing came from Raila. Nothing, zero. So Gachagua has his own issues, which he had to deal with and never dealt with them. We saw Deputy President Ruto under very difficult circumstances surviving and remaining Deputy President and ascending to the presidency because he was resilient. He realized his position. He acted according to his position. And he never, in a single day, never did he confront the president and tell him off or tell him or try to correct him on things that were obvious. He knew the president was doing many things. We are the ones who are saying, we really does that, this or the other in rallies. And then the president asks, why are you fighting my boss? So in this particular arrangement, you need to be meek as a Linda. You need to know to honor your steps carefully. Yes. So we cannot blame Raila for Gachagua's woes. It will be very wrong.
And away from Gachagua, because I don't think he'll be the challenge, especially in trying to ensure that the center holds in this new working relationship. Because as Bonamutunga says, it's been abrupt. It was a bit hurried. Unlike the Grand Coalition, this one was a bit hurried. Probably could compare it only to what happened in 2002 with the merger between NDP and KANU. And within no time, there had been so many different changes within KANU to create new KANU with Raila Odinga as SG. That marriage did not last even a year. It was just a matter of months, and it broke.
No, Fred, I think we Kenyans sometimes deliberately accept to have short memories. Fred Mulia came on TV 3 months ago, if you remember, on this station, and I told you that we are going for Nusumkate. Although I told you I don't speak for the party. My colleague here, Honorable Mutunga, said that the 10-point agenda is largely drawn from the NADCO report. In fact, the NADCO report has been reduced and summarized to form the basis of this new cooperation agreement. How then can you say it was hurried? What was hurried? NADCO report was tabled in Parliament. It is a document that is right now before the House. Never mind, it was concluded more than a year ago. So this has been works. It has been works in the making, culminating in the signing of this agreement on Friday.
A month ago, the deal was different. It was AUC chairperson.
A month ago, it was two-pronged. It was a two-pronged approach. AUC chair, but ultimately, we were still going to government. Now that the AUC chair failed, we have accelerated this. But you cannot say that it was never there. It has always been
accelerated.
It has always been in the works.
And in 3-4 weeks, you have a deal.
Yes, we did, yes.
Right. So do you agree that probably with that kind of rush, with that kind of acceleration, there are challenges? There are people who will be very quickly elbowed out of their positions to accommodate.
Definitely, elbowing out is a definite. It's a given. Some people will be casualties, that I've said. And it's obvious, when you have a broader-based arrangement, some people must lose positions. If the challenge is in this arrangement, we shall rectify them and deal with them. And more than that, explain to our people. And we have also said, there are things we may not have foreseen. And if they become obstacles in the future, then we shall deal with them. And if we are not satisfied this arrangement, by 2027, we shall exit.
Do you see a risk on your side, the Kenya Kwanza organization? Or are you sitting comfortable and pretty that your position will be guaranteed?
Any decision you take has risks and opportunities. Now, this particular decision is taken by Kenya Kwanza, in my understanding, and not in the brief of the Kenya Kwanza. That's my own personal perception, that Kenya Kwanza needs to prove to the Kenyans that they meant what they said during the election campaign, and they have a manifesto to deliver, and they needed an enabling environment to deliver this manifesto. So Kenya Kwanza now needs to deliver the manifesto to buy back the confidence of the Kenyans. That's the only opportunity they have. This creates that particular opportunity. That's what I can say about it.
Because we are seeing many of the principles in that Kenya Kwanza arrangement not anywhere in this discussion. For example, when the document was signed, The Prime Cabinet Secretary was not there. Of course, he said he was away on official duty. The Speaker of the National Assembly, who's also a key principal in that arrangement, was not there. DP, the party leader, was not there. We've seen all other party leaders. They were not present there. This appears to be a UDA thing, UDA ODM. Are we still talking about a Kenya Kwanza manifesto at this point?
We are still talking about Kenya Kwanza manifesto because the medium-term interpretation of development is based on the Kenya Kwanza manifesto. And there has been no inkling of change, no proposal to change the Kenya Kwanza manifesto. I believe in the discussions there must be prior agreement on several issues. Like, first of all, we have our promise to this country. You are coming in to help us deliver this promise. And we will also attend to your needs in view of definition of this particular promise. The other issue is that you mentioned about the pecking order. Those are things that are actually discussed and agreed upon. And also making sure that we pacify the entire, the different regions through provisos.
Did you see the Deputy President struggle to find where to stand in that?
I actually did not watch that. So I haven't. I haven't. But you see, when it comes to even remember very well when there was the Grand Coalition, not what the
Grand Coalition government.
Yeah, not the Grand Coalition government. The last government between the Raila and the Uhuru. The Deputy President was always finding his space somehow.
Nothing formalized like this one. This one, ODM says they're coming to take 50% of the positions. There could be a Prime Minister position.
I don't know whether that was part of the 10 points.
If the number one in the 10 points is full implementation of the NADCO report, which also has a position, leader of official opposition, there are so many things in
it. It had a number of things which were useful. And you see, all these provisions were coming in to try and make sure that Kenya stands as a single indivisible unit. That is the reason why there was that discussion. There was the NADCO. NADCO was participation by both, the leading parties, the leading coalitions, to ask very serious questions about us as a country. How do we model this country to become a single indivisible unit so that we can cause development to our people who believe in themselves, believe in the country, and believe in
As you make your final comments, this NADCO report has been there for over a year. Yes? Once it was signed by both sides and tabled in the House, there was agreement that this should be the way to go. A year later, it has not seen the light of day. When Raila Odinga was going for AUC, no one was talking about NADCO. Now we're back to NADCO and they're demanding full implementation of the same. Do you see it working?
Very quickly, I would state very clear that NADCO reports tallies with those goodies that actually this kind of new coalition could benefit from. And to my suggestion, I would suggest that probably the position of the Prime Minister is very key in this current political realignment. And where I'm finding it making some casualty is where I'm trying to look where the position of one Musalia Mudavadi will be. Take into concern that today we can call him Chief Minister. And when this particular NADCO report is fully implemented, then we have the Prime Minister. I am finding him getting lost because I am not seeing Raila Odinga taking anything short of that position. And if that will be the case, it tells you there will be a casualty still in this new arrangement. But remember, one thing what a politician looks for is who carries the biggest weight of the mantle of the people. And there William will be able to take the choice of the two. Do I retain Musalia in this? Or do I go to the bigger picture and honor to the big fish? So that is why I think that some element should appear. Today, remember that, in fact, Musalia did a mistake because he made his party obsolete. And then today he cannot claim he's an ANC. Mm-hmm. He can only
he's not even a principal.
So at the end of the day, I'm finding him becoming the biggest casualty in this.
He took himself out of the equation.
Yes, Fred, there's what the law says, and there's what the fact is. Now, never mind what my colleagues are saying in terms of protocol. To the best of our knowledge, and going by the party strengths and what we in the ODM bring to the table. The pecking order is William Ruto, Raila Odinga, then the rest follow after that. We can go around and say, oh, the law says this. The fact is, William Ruto is number one, Raila Odinga is number two. The rest follow after that. They can now agree among themselves how they arrange. That's how it is. You could see even when it came to the signing, the person who spoke before the president was Raila Odinga. Do you need more than that? Don't we live in this country? Do you expect miracles? That's how it is.
Well, actually, ODM did not find a failed government. They found a working government. Yes, so they cannot stand to say they are bringing in anything magnitude in terms of...
Organize the workings of this government completely.
Yeah, Idimuli, what Kenyans will be watching and waiting to see what
is... very intelligent man, so he knows what we're talking about.
What is new and different. That's what the Kenyans will be watching and asking every day. Yes, yeah, what is new and different? And the principals need to get that very clearly. What has come in that is going to be different from what you have always seen, and what is really new. The second thing is that the Nandiko report did not do away with any established position. The Nandiko report brought a lot more on wider scale inclusivity, and that helps in bringing Kenyans together. And the reason why Nandiko had to be is because we realize that we are not agreeing. On principle, we are not agreeing on ideals. We are not agreeing on a development order. We are not agreeing at all. So you can have opposition, but they have decided to critique government, not necessarily to criticize government. You see, criticizing government does not really give government an opportunity to deliver. And you see, at the end of the day, it is a scorecard that will count. How has the William Ruto delivered based on his manifesto?
Right.
And so I think, personally, I think it offers a great opportunity for the country to move forward. We need, as a country, Kenya, to stop moving in circles and blaming each other over small things around here. We need to look at how the other African countries have moved. Ethiopia has really moved. Tanzania, all the others are moving very fast.
Right.
Time is not waiting.
There'll definitely be casualties. Yes, time for musical chairs.
A small last remark. I want to condemn with utmost power the ongoing skirmishes in the border of Kisii and Transmara. I further want to tell our people not to heed to Governor Simba Arati's call that they should kill anyone. That was a very unfortunate remark where a leader can say that for every person you touch, I'll pay you 100,000 shillings. That actually borders on incitement. And I'm asking my people of Kisii to be tolerant, calm, and if there's any problem, report it to the authorities. Don't kill anyone. It is not in our interest, it is not in our customary nature to maim or kill any other person on account of cattle rustling or any other problem. And so we want to ask the government to address the issue in Transmara before it gets out of hand. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that and for bringing it to our attention as well. Thank you so much, Daniel Manduku, MP Nyaribari Masaba, John Kanyuithia Mutunga, MP Tigania West, and James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North. Our panelists this morning on State of the Nation as we take a look at the big headlines. Of course, magnificent duo is the front page of the Standard. Huge reap of fake mileage cash scandal. Shake up MPs on the front page of the Star. Civil servants reject SHA deal. That's the Daily Nation. And a lot more. This is where we wrap it up now. Of course, my colleague Anne Odida is on standby, already in studio, already on set, with Justice, talking about building a career abroad. Anne, over to you.
That's right, Justice is already in studio with us. That is the U.S. Nursing Journey Support Manager at the Kenyan Nurse Consultants Limited. We are talking matters daring abroad. Just what will it take you to get jobs abroad, and what should you know before making this life-changing decision? That conversation after the break.